This is my prized gem. This goes with me everywhere. My roommate is gone for the day, and so we're back to my old filming spot, which is right in the living room. I'm also probably filming for an audience, to be honest, because my neighbors can see everything we do in the living room, and so they know I film videos. Today, I'm talking about journaling, and I have a very particular, I'm very picky about the way that I journal, from the type of journal that I pick out to the style of journaling that I do and whatnot. And I've been journaling since I was 8 years old. I have journals from when I was 8, and now I've built up pretty much a whole shelf of just journals. I think I have at least 15 now that I've documented my entire life in. This is a new format of journaling that I started post-college, and it's honestly been what works for me right now. When I was in college, I had a very different style of journaling, and so I'll talk about it, but if you guys find that to be more like your style, then feel free to check out those old videos, because those would definitely be way more helpful. If this type of journaling doesn't really work for you, then that's okay, because journaling is supposed to be a very personal tool. It would make sense if this doesn't really work out for you and the way that your life is going at the moment. This is my prized gem. This goes with me everywhere. I've talked about this before. It's with me, like my wallet is with me, my phone is with me. If someone stole my bag, I would be furious, because yes, my wallet would be stolen, but this journal would also be stolen, and that is a problem because there's a lot of stuff in there. If you guys think that what I say on this podcast is, rated R, what's in this journal makes my podcast like a rated G. This ends up being for kids, and my journal ends up being the real shit, where all the real good stuff is. And I stand by everything that I write in here, so that's the thing. All right. Hi everyone. I'm interrupting the video. You won't even notice a difference, maybe, unless you're watching this, but I was just I'm editing the video right now, and I was getting frustrated because I'm just really, really passionate about journaling. There's so many things I want to say about it, and if I'm going to do a journaling video, and this is going to be the one video I do about journaling, I really want to just do it justice and get everything I need to say out in one video. So I'm going to say a few things because I'm annoyed that I didn't say certain things. A few things, right? There's 3 things that I truly believe journaling has helped me do. It not only has kept me sane, and I talk about it in this video, it genuinely keeps me sane, mentally, emotionally, somewhat put together from the outside. But secondly, it really, really helped being a replacement for doom scrolling. It is one of the mindless things that I can do that I don't really care the outcome. There is no one I'm performing for. I'm not performing for myself. There's no good or bad journaling. There's no score. Using it as a space to take a break instead of doom scrolling on your phone and scrolling on social media has been huge. I think, especially because when you're scrolling on your phone, you could be thinking like, yeah, it's super mindless, but at the same time, what you're mindlessly looking at, quote unquote, looking at, is a bunch of stimulation. And so you're just getting a ton of mini dopamine hits. And I know everyone talks about it, but when you're journaling, there isn't much to look at. It's just a blank page and like the pen that you're using. And so there isn't that much stimulation. So your brain doesn't feel overloaded when you're taking a break. And so I would highly recommend using it. Even if you have nothing to write about, you will find something to write about. Maybe the thing that you end up doing is, and I know this is kind of like, maybe it's because I'm a little bit of a nerd, but I would totally do this, where if I read something or watched a video about something really interesting, but writing down my thoughts on my commentary on what I watched, what I read, to add on to what I've learned, and so that it really sticks in my head, is super helpful. And with that being said, the third thing that it really helps me with is journaling has helped me, better speak my thoughts and organize my thoughts, because when I'm putting it on the page, it's usually my first draft. It's like the most messy, disorganized, confusing mix of words. It's like me trying to understand what is going on with me. And a lot of the time I have a lot of different thoughts, a lot of contradictory thoughts in my head, and it's really just all over the place. And so when I'm putting on paper, that's really what it looks like. But then once I'm able to put it down and be like, oh, okay, so this is like the 50 things I'm thinking about with this scenario, I'm able to be like, okay, so this goes into this category, this kind of goes here. And that's why in my videos, it's a little bit more organized, but a lot of the things that I say in my videos started from some type of journal entry where I word vomited and it was really a mess. It made no sense at all. And that's okay, because this is the first draft. This is where you're giving everything a go. And overall, I feel like I've been a lot better with organizing my thoughts in my head because I've done it so many times on paper. I really, really wanted to add all these thoughts I just said to this video. I feel like it's worthwhile mentioning. Anyways, back to the original episode I recorded. More on why you're actually here. The way that I formatted my journal, there's actually 3 journals in one. I don't want to be carrying so much stuff. Ever since, well, even in college, I hated just having too much stuff. In practice, I did not follow this. In theory, I really wanted to carry as little as possible. And so back then I used to have 2 separate journals, and now I just have it all in one place, and it's bound together within this traveler's notebook. So the leather part is one of the most expensive parts of my journal. I think it was like, I want to say $50-$60 just for the binding, but this has lasted me so far for 4 years. It's very sturdy. It's not going anywhere. There's also different colors, so you can pick out whichever style. But yeah, I've spilled coffee on this. I've put food on top of my journal. There's even tattoo ink and tattoo stencil on the inside. It's still holding up. It looks great, and it actually ages really, really well, which is why I love it so much. I love this concept where you basically get string. It comes with the traveler's journal, and you insert the string in the center of the journals, and then you kind of weave it into the journal. It's not sewing so much. It's more of like just one insert into this like little hole here. And that is holding 3 journals together. And then for the inserts, I saved so much freaking money. I used to spend, guys, I've tried all the brands of journals you could ever imagine. When I was in college, I went through a huge like aesthetic journal phase. And so I was very picky about the journals that I was using, the style of journal, whatever. And so I bought a lot of Moleskine, Leuchtturm, those journals which are like $15-$20 at a time. And that is pretty pricey when I'm journaling so much that I have to buy 2 to 3 journals a year. But in this case, with the Traveler's Journal, this outside binding itself is equivalent to 2-3 journals and has lasted me 4 years. But the inserts themselves are only $3. I buy them from Amazon, and they are made for this size of journal. So the traveler's size, it opens flat, which is super important to me. And the pages are super thin, which is perfect because all I need to do is just write with pen. I know for some people, if you guys are more artistic and like painting and stuff, this is not the type of paper you might want to use. But you can also buy like these ones. I was using these. These are a lot thicker. Right now, I'm just using the very thin paper, and I use unlined. And I want to say this is one of my most useless talents that I have, but I can write in straight lines without a guide. And so I'm fine without lines. I actually prefer it, and I don't want to sound dramatic, but it's true. I kind of feel claustrophobic when I have lines. I do not like lined paper. I also just like having the ability to write horizontally, diagonally, draw arrows, and I feel like when I have lined paper, it doesn't really allow me to do that. And so I really love blank paper. That's my first journal. And then I have the exact same style of journal as my second journal. Content is different. I'll go over that in a little bit. And then this is my third journal. It's a planner pretty much, but I will still call it a journal. This is the other expensive part of my journal. But I don't regret it at all. This is a hobonichi 2025 planner. I just got it. You can buy it for way cheaper on Amazon, but I specifically wanted the black or white, like minimalist weekly version, and they didn't have that on Amazon. And I specifically wanted the soft cover so that it could open flat and it wouldn't be so rigid. And so I just paid for the shipping. And I think this planner in itself with the shipping was like maybe $70, I want to say. I don't regret it whatsoever because I use this every day. So this together, this whole package is what's keeping me sane. This is why I am a few notches down from insanity and closer to sanity. This is why I'm put together from the outside. I'll go into the content now. The first journal that I have is an emotional dump. It is good things and bad things. It is basically what my day is like. It is existential questions. I ask some insane things in here, some cringy things I don't even have answers to still. I just like write it down. I judge people in here. I have gossip in here. I have the tea. I criticize myself in here. All of that junk is in here. And this is truly the only place in my entire life where I am unfiltered, where I am truly my 100% self. Nothing's held back. I need that. That is why I'm saying this allows me to let it all out, because all those thoughts, when you have a thought, when you have an emotion, if you put it away, it has to still go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. And if you put it in a box, it ends up piling and then you kind of erupt. This is the opposite of that. This is for me to be so free and open and accepting of literally any questionable, crazy thought that I have ever had. I can put in here with no judgments, and it has somewhere to go and it has an outlet so it doesn't come back at me and it doesn't hurt somebody else. That's why if someone tried to steal this journal, if someone tried to read this, it's done. It's so over for you. Like, you guys should definitely try it, because I feel like we all have these thoughts, and sometimes they're not the most pretty, acceptable thoughts ever, but they are still thoughts, and we should allow them to come out because they're there for a reason. We're not that crazy where the thoughts that we have are coming from the most randomest place. No, that's usually not the case. It usually is pretty justified, and you can understand where you're coming from, and maybe from there tell yourself like, hey, this is not really reasonable. All right, the next journal looks exactly the same. Again, unlined. This one is the idea dump journal. This is where all of my big ideas for YouTube podcast episodes, I'll go here. All my high-low buffaloes, my updates for the week go in here, and that's what I'm always looking at. So whenever I'm in a podcast episode and you guys are, if you're watching me, if I look down at my crotch, I'm not looking at my crotch. It's because I'm looking at my journal. I'm trying to read off what my high-low buffalo was. Also, this one is the more like filled up version of that journal because I removed it since I finished it. Guys, look at how very used. There's no space, no room for Jesus. Every page is filled top to bottom. There's so many arrows and doodles. Even the covers are written on. I criticize myself on here. I actually will watch my videos and I write down to myself like, don't do this again. Do this better. Add this next time. Blah, blah, blah. That's all in here. And I just finished this one, which is why I wanted to show you guys an example of a more complete one. And then finally, I have my planner. Fun fact, I did not use a planner once I moved to New York. So once I graduated from college, I completely threw out the whole planner system. I used to scrapbook journal pretty much, where I would cut things out. I would use markers. I was very diligent. I drew all over my planner to make these DIY spreads. And it was super elaborate, super fun, but it's not for me now. I did that in college because I needed an outlet to express myself, to show my creativity, have some kind of artistic craft that was solely for myself. And so that was super helpful. But now that I've gotten out of college, my art shows up in my tattooing, shows up in my editing, shows up in the doodles that I do over my videos. And now I don't really need that. Now what I've been noticing is, because my brain and my life is so chaotic with a million projects and I'm constantly context switching, I don't need any more noise, physically, visually. And so that's why this is very minimalist. Even the planner itself, I was very picky about the planner. This is a super minimalist planner. I did not choose the passion planner. I think that's one of the most popular planners. It's a time box planner, but I do not believe in that. Don't like that planner. I've tried it before. I hated it. And I never liked it because when it comes to doing actual work and tasks, I am not someone who likes to be put in a time box. I don't like being told from 1 to 3 p.m. you have to do this. Like, I don't like that. And instead, I like to have a general idea of the tasks that I need to do for the day. And then I can pick and choose which one I start with and which one I finish with. And so some days I'll do tattoo work in the morning, and in the afternoon I'll do YouTube, and then vice versa on other days. So I really want that flexibility. The only time that I'm really time boxing is on my iPhone through my Google Calendar app, where I'm putting when I'm hanging out with people, when there are events, things like that. That's the only time I'm putting a time on anything. With that in mind, I made sure to pick out a planner that kind of fit that and the minimalist look that I wanted. I love this planner so much. That's why I don't regret it at all. It's like straight up from my dreams. I don't know, if someone made a planner for me, it was going to look like this. So I have the Japanese version because the English version sold out, but I don't really care. This is a yearly calendar. That's the first page. And then it breaks out into monthly calendar layouts. And so this is where I put general day-to-day to-dos. For this week, I need to do this certification course, for example, for work. And then it breaks out into weeks. And for each week, you basically have a small rectangle to put all your to-dos for that day. And so you have 7 days on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side is just a free grid for you to write additional things. And that is perfect. This is literally perfect. I have enough structure to where I can tell what's going on in each day and what's happening with the future weeks. But I also have enough freedom to go beyond that and write other things. And so last week, I don't know what it was. I think it was like period brain fog, if that's a thing. I just had so much going on in my head that was not really that relevant, but because they were all over the place in my head, I couldn't stop thinking about them. And so I needed to write it down. And so I put it on this grid right side. I just put a list of everything I was just thinking about and that was clogging up my brain. Things like dye your hair back to black, get your bangs trimmed. Like, that's not that important to set it on a date, but I was like, this needs to eventually happen. Like, I'm starting to look haggard, you know? And so I did it. And that's why my hair is back to black-ish. And I have my bangs again. I haven't had bangs in a hot minute. So I miss them. I feel back to my normal self. Thank God, because I was losing it a little bit. My bangs were getting so long that I started to look like my middle school, high school self, where I didn't have bangs. I just had long straight hair. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, something's wrong. And this is also why I'm filming the video, to be honest, today. I got my hair cut and dyed this past weekend, and I did not pay, honestly, I go back and forth between this, but one side of me is like, I did not pay that much money just for nobody to see me in this new hairstyle. That's one side. But then the other side is like, but it's all for me. Like, I kind of want to be the only one that like sees it fresh and new. But just got my hair cut and I needed the world to see it. So this is what my journal is made out of. This is my right hand man, right hand woman, whatever. Thank God this thing fits in all my bags and is just all in one place. It's exactly what I need right now. I know this is not going to be for everyone, but I don't know. Maybe it will inspire you guys to kind of tailor your journal to be more specific to what you need. I think a huge thing when it comes to starting journaling or when you're a beginner journaler is you get so caught up in making the journal look perfect that you forget that the journal is a tool. It's something you use. The important part is not the looks of it. The important part is what's inside the actual journal. What is it doing for you? And so if it's not serving your purpose, if you're like following the trends of, oh, like I'm going to use a passion planner and I'm going to time box everything, or I'm going to use this Leuchtturm grid journal and I'm going to write down my gratitude when you don't even care about what you're grateful for, don't freaking write it. Don't force yourself to take time to write things you don't care about because it's a waste of your time. And because of that, you're not going to be consistent. And I think that's why people who question journaling in the first place question journaling. It's because they think they have to follow somebody else, but that's not the case. Personalize it for your own needs and make sure that your journal is actually helping you and making your life easier, not being a chore or a hassle. Also on the screen, I'm going to put some other ways that you can use your journal. I've used them in these ways in the past, but there's also other ways that I've heard about that is super cool and might be more your style. Also, I've been hearing that some people just don't know how to journal. I can see why someone might say that. And what I have to say about that is you may be getting too caught up in the aesthetics of it. The perfect journal, it's just so perfect that you can't even start. It's overwhelming, it's daunting, whatever. But literally open it up and just whatever comes up into your head. Like whatever stupid thought, whatever passing thought, whatever thing that is on your mind that you think about, just write it word from word. And then before you know it, you're going to have a lot to say. Just start there. That's probably the easiest. Instead of trying to follow a template, instead take what's already in your mind, take already what's in your life and put it onto the paper and do that as many times as possible. A poem, a line that you heard, a song that you really like. If that's the only thing you're writing, just do that and just keep writing stuff down, even though it seems like junk. And then over time, you'll see a pattern. You'll see, oh, I just keep going to this journal to write down songs I really like, or quotes or conversations that I heard on the train, or I keep opening this journal to put my receipts and my stickers that I keep finding. And that might be the way you journal. Maybe the way you journal is you just like to collect physical things you keep finding and you want to paste it and scrapbook it onto paper. That's your journal. Some people might be using it as a recipe book. Anytime you hear about a recipe on Instagram from your friends, from your family, you write it down. Then that's how you journal. And it shouldn't need to fit everybody else's standards or style, and it should be completely for you. All right. Anyways, I'm done babbling because now I'm going to talk about my high-low buffalo, and I'm going to use my journal to tell you guys about my high-low buffalo because I don't remember exactly what I was writing. So high-low buffalo, if you're new, high is the good thing in the past week, low is the bad thing, and the buffalo is the weird thing that happened to me in the past week. Please, if you ever have like anything high, low, or buffalo, interesting happened for you in the week, you should comment it down below, because I actually love hearing everybody's updates, starting with the high, the really good thing that happened in the past week. So this one's not a good thing, it's more so something really funny. But I was calling my mom and I was telling her about how I decided to delete Hinge and I'm just giving up on the dating life for now, because I realize I actually don't have time, and what I would rather spend my time doing instead of dating is making better YouTube videos, tattooing more, and focusing on being a better tattoo artist. And my mom like lost her shit. She was like, what did you just say? Like, did we not have a talk last year saying how important it is to date now because you're at your prime age? And I was like, Mom. And so this is where, I don't know where this came up from, but my grandma and my mom, they're Buddhist, so they pray a lot, and they pray for my good luck and my good health, which is so sweet. That is true love right there. Yeah, so they pray for me. And I was saying, Mom, with how much you and grandma pray for me, I mean weekly. Like, my grandma is going to the temple. We have a shrine in our house. She's praying to that thing morning and night. With how much she's praying for me specifically, there's bound to be a chance. There's bound to be enough luck to bring some guy to my door. To have, instead of me finding these men find me and they come up to me. I bet that with all of that praying, that is bound to happen. That has to happen. And my mom starts laughing. She was like, that's so funny because today we went to temple and I prayed specifically for you to get a boyfriend. And I was like, so you're saying you put your hands together and you were on your knees and you said, I want Annie to get a boyfriend. Like, please give Annie a boyfriend. She said, yeah, I said those exact words. And it was so funny just imagining her specifically trying to get me a boyfriend. And good, because now I'm just going to let the world do its thing. Next is my low. So the bad thing that happened is I've been having some insane Sunday scaries. Today's Tuesday, but on Sunday night, if you don't know what Sunday scaries are, it's basically the actual terror. It's like the fight or flight response that you get, the adrenaline rush you feel on a Sunday, sometime on a Sunday, because you know the weekend is over and Monday is coming and you have to work again. I had an extreme Sunday scary attack on Sunday night, and you would think it was like I was being chased by a tiger or being eaten by a bear, which none of those things were happening, but I was reacting in that way, and it was pretty bad. And I try to milk out my Sunday. That's usually what I do. If I know that I'm not looking forward to the next day, I try to milk out the day before. I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but I really was just like lounging around Sunday night. I slept way later than I normally do because I was like, I need this Sunday to last longer. I need to be in this weekend state for as long as possible so that I can avoid Monday. Obviously, Monday came and I had to deal with it. Next is my buffalo, the weird thing that happened. So the weird thing that happened is just reaffirming something I knew. Adults are just little kids in bigger bodies. Most people really don't grow up. Today I was getting on to the train. The doors open, girl on one side and then a guy on the other side, and they just happened to be so bundled up that they like blocked the entire doorway, and I was trying to get through. So because they took up so much space, I like pushed myself in, not even like pushing her away, but like stepped in and tried to get as close as I could inside without pushing her in and also without getting closed out by the doors. And so I like stepped in, and then there was nowhere for me to go, and it was too like claustrophobic, so I needed to get in more. So I just stood there waiting for her to kind of move forward a little bit so that I can have space. And then this girl, she goes, why are you trying to take up my space? Like, I was already there. And she's like, why are you trying to take my spot? And I was literally like, You gotta be freaking kidding me. Like, the last time I heard those words was when I was in like 4th grade, and like some girl was yelling at me because I took her seat in the classroom. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you couldn't just take one step forward. It's not like you own that spot. And there was nobody else in front of her. Like, there was literally no one standing in the middle or the other side of the train. I just could not get through, and she was refusing to take a step forward. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. I didn't say anything. Just walked. I just broke through both of the two people, and I just like went to the other side. I was like, girl, please. I don't know what job you are about to go to that you hate so much that is making you in such a bad mood. I don't know what is going on in your life. I'm sorry you're in such a bad place in your life in general that you have to pick at me for this little thing. Because, you know, when people are genuinely happy, when people are doing well in their life, little things like this never come up. Like, people keep to themselves. They don't mind giving up a little bit. They don't mind when little inconveniences happen. Nobody says anything when they're actually happy. But if you're deeply unhappy or have something going on with you, that's when shit like this comes up. And I was just like, okay, whatever, you be you. I'm just gonna go in and stand over there. So yeah, that was the weird thing that happened. Also, if you keep seeing me like kind of reach over, it's because the screen kind of goes away when I film for a second, and I need to make sure I was still in frame. But yeah, that is my Hilo Buffalo, and that is the episode for the next 2 weeks. Let me know how you guys use your journal. If you guys have advice or tips, add them in the comments down below. And you guys are the best. Thanks for watching. Bye.